Hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr and welcome to another recap video for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. You will have to excuse the fact that my hair is being cut off by my green screen, but that's because it has faded to go green and I've had to change it in the settings so that it doesn't disappear and cut half my head off. But today we're going to be talking about all of the stuff that's going to be coming up in June for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. We've just come out of the community stream and a lot of it is stuff that we already knew about, but it's kind of nice because there's some very exciting stuff coming up in June. There always is in every month, and honestly there's a divine summon coming which I'm gonna need because I've just pitied again. I ended up pitying Faris out of, like, I don't know why I did. Like, read me in the comments if you want, I don't even care. I've had my COVID vaccine and everything's come up. It's all a really exciting week, month, all of that good stuff. So if you want to know more about what's coming up in June for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, then stay tuned and keep on watching. Now, before we get started, of course, as always, I ask you guys to have a look at all of my social media links in the description box below. So Twitter, Twitch, Discord, Patreon, all that good stuff. I am streaming a lot this week, and honestly, I was really kind of blown away by everyone's kind of responses to questions I've been asking about things they want to see on stream from me recently. People want me to do fighting games again. I put up a channel point reward for two things, so fighting games and makeup, which are two things that I'm very, like, I know a lot about and I do a lot, and people want to see that kind of thing from me. So thank you all very much for like making it apparent that that's the sort of things that you want, and thank you all very much for being a part of my birthday week for stream, because my birthday is actually on the 26th of May, so this Wednesday, and to celebrate I'll be hosting a birthday subathon, which I have spoken about before, but I will say it one last time before the event comes up tomorrow evening. So if you'd like to know more information, then check the slide that I've just put up on the screen, and perhaps consider coming to visit me on Twitch as well. With regards to Patreon, I always shout out one of my patrons every time I release a video, and today that person is going to be Winged Paragon, who is an absolute gem, massive Gold Bears fan, so they're going to be very excited about things coming up this week, in fact. So thank you very much for being a part of my Patreon, and if you would like various benefits such as behind the scenes footage, like being a part of Would You Pull, voice chats we all do together, having a title card made just for you to put at the end of my credits, then perhaps you'd like to consider becoming a patron as well. So first things first, as always, big thank you to Crystal and Joshua for bringing us all of this information so that I can consolidate it all for you into this little video. But basically the first thing that's come up is a quality of life improvement, and we seem to get one of these like every month now, which is fantastic, and we love that. And this one's, it's only a small one, but it's quite significant. Whenever you go to buy armor using power or guard tokens or weapons, that sort of thing, you could never select more than one. But now you can, and you can auto it, and you can, so that you can auto LB or make sure that you have enough to LB any particular piece of armor. And honestly, this does save a lot of hassle going backwards and forwards. The only thing I wish you could do is that you could just like instantly level, like using orbs or whatever from that screen, so that you could buy the next stage up, but sadly that's not something that's the case. But it's still a nice improvement. That and event tokens, instead of being capped at 10,000, are now capped at 100,000. So while it's only a small quality of life improvement, I think it's a significant one. Now on May 28th, so this Friday, we are going to be seeing a Divine Summon board. Now I love Divine Summon boards because they give me an injection of resources, because I have spent over 200,000 gems in the past month, if that. Like, I've pitied 3 times in the past month. It's not been kind to me. So to have a way of gaining a ton of resources is very welcome, and it's going to be coming along with Gold Bears and his burst, and also the return of Hope LD. Now obviously I'm going to be making a Should You Pull video for Gold Bears and Hope before tomorrow, so that everyone has the information ready. But I also would like to just quickly say, if you've just watched this video for a quick rundown, Gold Bears gets reworked, and he has a freeze effect on his burst effect, and he has in his LD a unique effect, well, it's unique at the minute anyway, where he gains more bravery than damage he actually deals. So if he does 10,000 damage, he instead gains 12,000 bravery. So it actually adds up quite a lot, because he has a lot of HP dumps in all of his attacks. After his rework, he gets multiple HP dumps and everything. His EX is already very good for that, and his LD furthers that even more. So he's an absolute damage monster. However, he is locked to dark damage, and that is a big hindrance to him after his synergy ends. And the character that comes after Bartz and after Gold Bears, I'll just ruin that, in terms of characters that come with bursts after Gold Bears and before him, like Garland and Bartz, are really powerful, and the fact that he's kind of sandwiched in the middle is a bit unfortunate for him. And Hope is still a magnificent call ability, and I mean, you guys know how I feel about call abilities in general and whether I think they're worth pulling for. I absolutely do, and hence pitying Faris. But I don't think that, I think if you've gone this far without Hope, you can live without him. Like, he doesn't, like, it's still really useful to have, but I wouldn't stress about it as much. Like, I think that the early part of this month you should be trying to use it to save for the second half of this month. Now, alongside Golbez and Divine Alexander comes a brand new mechanic, which is armor realization for 210 CP armor. So you get these pink ingots, or pingots as they were called on the stream, which I thought was quite cute, and books, etc. It's done very similarly to how EX-based armor was done, but it's for high armor, for Lufenia armor. And basically what this does is it's actually more kind of individual to the character than it would have been ordinarily. And here is like where you want to start looking at using like your C spheres. Like, it doesn't, like, they weren't mentioning anything about like reworks on the keystones or anything. But here you want to be looking at very, very sporadically spending armor and nuggets or ingots, etc. on armor, because you'll only get these by clearing Lufenia missions. You can get them from exchange tokens, but it's never worthwhile because it costs so much to do. So you kind of have to pick and choose who you're going to use them on. Golbez isn't the first character I'd use unless that you're like go for, like, because these will be released alongside LDs as they come out for characters. Hopes is more party oriented, but realistically you don't use Hope enough in your main party to make that worthwhile. Bartz is a particularly good one, but it is quite selfish towards him. Tifa is a very good one. Basically, you're going to be wanting to look out for characters that are, like, damage dealers will love it, and any high armor plus that works well with party related stuff. It's all stuff that I'll go over individually as I do should you pull videos and the like, and it's another thing that's going to make my should you pull videos longer, I'm afraid, but hopefully not too much so, because it's going to be fairly simple as to whether you definitely want something or whether you can take the time to save, like, gaining the ingots and the books and things like that so you can use them for future characters. Quickly going over the next slide, it's the portal app. We know we've seen this plenty of times. If you use the portal app, you get points towards it, and if everyone collectively gets a lot of points, then we get some tier 6 crystals, some bloomstones. I mean, bloomstones are kind of not really much of a thing at the minute, apart from people who are newer to the game, obviously. And then we get some power and armor tokens, and then presumably some gems or tickets if we cap out at 1.2 million. All stuff that we've seen before. Now, as well as that, on June the 2nd, we're going to be getting Nine's Lost Chapter, which features himself and Fujin's LD. Now, Fujin LD, I spoke about this in my Future Pulls video, she's not the first character you should be pulling for. I was going to put some resources into this because I have neither of their LDs. Nine actually becomes really quite potent. So if you get Fujin as like a consolation prize, the primary reason to have Fujin, at least initially, is to use her cool abilities specifically for Bartz, because Bartz is very wind oriented, but he doesn't actually enchant the party for wind, and giving him Fujin's cool abilities means that he can. But when his Burst Plus comes around, he then gets wind enchant, and then that becomes redundant, so Fujin is something you can really live without. The same can be also said, and it really depresses me because I don't want to live without it, but Kadaj. Now, Kadaj is the new character here that comes out on June the 7th, and I adore this character. I say I'm probably going to skip it. I'm not going to be able to resist it, and I know I'm not. And I'm like, my self-control is going to go out the window, as it did with Faris, because they are some of my favourite characters. So people who like tell me pull for favourites, I've done that. Okay, I've done that. And like, I really love Kadaj's mechanically as well. Like, he brings along the first gilded debuff, which are debuffs that can't be dispelled or cleansed by the enemy. And not only that, but he has his own buff, or debuff rather, that makes it so he steals gained bravery from the enemy, and I actually think this is very valuable in his call ability, because it means that enemies can only gain half of their bravery, which is really useful on enemies that like to, if you remember Boss Rush 2, where you had Boss Rush 3, where you had the snakes that were constantly gaining bravery every turn. It makes enemies like that a lot easier to deal with. Is he a must pull? No, not really. I just really like him, and I will figure out ways to get him. And with regards to Golbez, like, it's a case of if I get his burst somehow while pulling for Kadaj, maybe I'll go back for the LD, but it's not one that I'm going to go out of my way for. Also, no free pulls this time around. Just going to point that out now. We've had loads of them. It's fine if we don't get them every time. And it's just as well that they've got in with no free pulls for this month, because it's going to benefit them rather a lot, because the next batch of banners is probably going to be the most expensive batch of banners that certainly I've come across, or I hope it's not. If I come out of this and it's less expensive than Garland's batch, I'll be very pleased. Like I said, I've lost 200,000 gems in the past month, and it's not been cute. So hopefully I don't end up having to do that again with Bartz's batch. Now, Bartz is disgusting. Bartz is, if you pull for any character over, like, go and watch my future pulls video, you will want him. He has magnificent auras. He has incredible battery power. He does really good damage. He has a wind imperil that gets around things that are immune to imperil. He's got, like, gravity damage. He's got a burst effect that's good for days. Like, when it gets to the should you pull for Bartz, the answer is just going to be yes. Yes, you should. He's just that good. And then he comes around with his burst plus, and then he's even better. Like, he's just a very hard character to say no to. And Bartz is, like, he's a popular character too. He's FF5. I have to have him because he's FF5. I actually love FF5. Like, I have to have all of the LDs. I have to. It's why I had to have Faris, and it's why I have to have Bartz. Luckily, they do all tend to be very good. Like, Faris, not so much in the main party, but we'll gloss over that, and Gilgamesh will gloss over. It's fine. But Bartz, it's not just me. It's not FF5 favoritism. You are going to want this character. And I will go over more detail with all of these, obviously, with Should You Pull videos and the like as we go through time. Now, on June 16th, we're getting probably the only skippable banner that we're going to get when it comes to Bartz's batch, which is Edward and Palom. And Palom's actually still really good. Like, Palom is a damage dealer through and through. He is a selfish damage dealer. But what he does is he gains free turn after break, but his moves become more powerful on the turn that he gets that extra turn. But he's still locked to ice damage. He's still very, like, linear in his gameplay. He is a character you can happily live without. And Edward is fine, but like his LD boards, they're okay, but they don't add enough to his base stats. The problem with Edward isn't his kit, it's his stats and his potencies. He just doesn't punch enough to be really, really viable in this day and age. Lullaby's still really good. The hide ability is okay. That's the best that I can really say about him. Tifa, on the other hand, come June 24th, you're going to want her as well. Like, she comes with Boss Rush. You're going to want Tifa. She is like the next level of damage dealers. Like, in terms of burstless damage dealers, you can be using Tifa for a significant amount of time. If you can come away from this batch with Bartz and Tifa, and hopefully the character that isn't mentioned on the slides, which is Galoof, you'll be doing really well. Like, you'll be doing well for a long time to come. Galoof is like a tank supreme. Bartz is like a super support character that happens to do a buttload of damage, and Tifa punches things, but she punches things really, really hard. Her LD and her beat rush become absolutely monstrous. So she is definitely a character you're going to want to look out for, and one that I hope that everyone gets lucky on, because she's one that a lot of players are going to be pulling on. I guarantee you when I do the would you pull section, it's going to be a lot of yes. And then finally on June 18th, which is when I anticipate that Galoof is going to be released, we get the Summer Festival. So, more daily hunts, like it says and more here as a teaser. I imagine that this could be either an Abyss event that comes with Galoof in a similar vein to how it did with Ignis this month, or it could be a weapon gloss, or it could be all sorts of different things. I don't think it's going to be anything huge. It'll be chocobo boards, like things like that, panel missions like it says there. Then it's just more resources, and if we can get more resources, certainly after Divine Alexander, then that's going to be fantastic. But I would expect Galoof to come around this time, so it says it starts on June the 18th, so I would expect it on that Friday. But Galoof is a evade tank as he has always been, but he gets another counter-attack with his LD, and it makes his counter-attacking really powerful, and he also gets like a shield in a similar way to Arden, where he goes to 0 health and he can't die, like a zombie effect, and he becomes a really powerful tank, and honestly, he's another character that I wouldn't want to miss out on. So just be warned that late June is going to be very, very taxing on your resources, so any excuse that you have to save, I would suggest you do so. Do not do what I did and go pitying characters now. It's not a good idea. And I know people are going to read me to filth, but it is what it is. If you can save for anything, save for Bartz, save for Tifa, save for Galoof. Galoof, slightly less of a priority than the other two, but he is still magnificent. So that's going to be all for today's video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. And as I said, don't forget to come and find me over on Twitch if you want to see me covering all of these events live on stream as well, so that when I put them up as my covered videos, you get to see me fail and flounder on my pulls live. And then you can all feel better about your own pulls. And then, yeah, so all of that stuff is going to be relevant over the coming month. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications on any future videos I might be making, and let me know what your plans are for the month of June in Dissidia, what teams you plan on using, where you plan on putting your resources. Are you going to be pulling for gold bears? Are you going to be pulling for Bartz? Yes, you're going to be pulling for Bartz. Are you going to be pulling for Tifa? Yes, you're going to be pulling for Tifa. Are you going to be pulling for Fujin? Probably not. Anyways, that's going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.